Hi everyone, so we're back in this advanced speaking class with me, Komang Kinasti Ambaratri, or just Kin, with my student number 117. Last time we did a Q&A about weathers, and this time I'm going to present to you something different. I'm going to do a storytelling. So, aren't you guys curious about what kind of story I'm going to deliver to you? Stay tuned. So, this is a story called The Frog Story. What kind of frog story? We'll see later. So, I'm going to put the pictures somewhere around here so you could also visualize the story with me. So let's get started. So once upon a time, a little boy named Kafka and his dog Hin captured a frog at the nearby lake. They brought the frog home, named it Harold, and then placed it inside a jar. They never got tired of looking at Harold with a wide smile and big admiration. In the middle of the night, while Kafka and Hin were still sound asleep on the bed, without them knowing, Harold the frog made its way out to escape. Oh no. The next morning, Kafka and Hin woke up to an empty jar and the absence of Harold the frog. Realizing that Harold had disappeared, Kafka and Hin started looking all around the room, making sure to check every corner. Hin even got its head stuck inside the jar, but there were still no traces of Harold. Harold the frog is nowhere inside of the room. So where could Harold possibly be? Kafka snuck out his head from the window and started calling out, "Harold! Harold, where are you?" But there was no answer. Hin was trying to help, but with the jar still stuck to its head, it had difficulties moving around and ended up accidentally slipping and falling onto the ground. Kafka quickly rushed out to help Hin to get up, and he also removed the jar from its head. Kafka and Hin decided to keep looking for Harold the frog, even if it meant that they had to go as far as the forest. Kafka and Hin began their journey looking for Harold the frog. They kept on calling out its name and they headed towards the forest. Kafka looked through a hole in the ground. So he found the ground and then there was a hole in it, hoping that he could find Harold the frog in there. Hin was busy jumping and sniffing a beehive that he discovered hanging on a tree. It turned out that the hole that Kafka was picking into was a home to a groundhog. The groundhog was not happy. The groundhog was disturbed by Kafka's presence, so it bit Kafka's nose, making him squeal in pain. Hin, still busy with the beehive. Kafka is now exploring a large tree that has a hole in the center, still hoping that Harold the frog might be in there. Oh, and the beehive that Hin was focusing on has now fallen out of the tree. Yeah. When Kafka was busy searching and calling out for Harold on the tree, so he was looking through the tree while still calling Harold's name, like, "Harold, Harold." A large owl suddenly came out of the hole. The owl spread open its wings, making Kafka surprised and terrified that he had fallen out of the tree. The owl is now chasing Kafka. And to make the matter worse, Hin was also being chased by the swarming angry bees. The owl chased Kafka until he became cornered. Kafka tried to chase away the owl. Shoo! Shoo! Get away from me! The owl finally left Kafka alone, and Kafka moved on with his search for Harold the Frog. Hin also seemed to have gotten away from the angry bees, and then Kafka got on the boulder and held on to some branches while he kept on calling Harold the Frog, hoping to get an answer. What Kafka didn't know is that the things that seemed to be branches that he was holding turned out to be the antlers of a deer that was resting there. Startled, the deer got up aggressively, and accidentally caught Kafka on top of its head, stuck between its antlers. So he's stuck. Kafka was stuck. The deer, with Kafka still on top of its head, is now running towards a cliff. Hin, not knowing what to do, was also running alongside them. Very helpful, Hin. Realizing that it had reached the edge of the cliff, the deer made a sudden stop and tipped Kafka over. Kafka and Hin are now falling together. Kafka and Hin fell into a swamp and are now drenched in swamp water. Kafka got up and sat in the water when he held his hand to his ear and seemingly heard something that made him smirk. So he was like, oh no, now I'm wet. And then he heard a sound and was like, what was that? Yeah. Kafka quietly approached the source of the sound that seemed to be coming out of the log while holding one finger to his mouth, signaling him to stay silent. So he was like, Hin. Shh. Kafka and Hin are now exploring the log together. What they found hidden behind the log was a pair of frogs, female and male, relaxing together. So there was a couple of frogs that was chilling together. They were having the best time of their lives. #jealous. #me when. Moving on to the story. It was not until the frogs' children emerged from the tall grasses that Kafka noticed a familiar figure. It was no other than Harold amongst the frogs' children. So tens of little frogs just swarmed, and then it turned out one of them turned out to be Harold. Crazy. That's called dedication and destiny, maybe. Do you believe in destiny? Moving on. Kafka was so happy to have found Harold and took Harold with him to play with. Kafka and Hin also didn't forget to wave goodbye to the frog family. And they became friends and they lived happily ever after. So that was the story about Kafka, Hin, and the frog, Harold. So what do you guys think about the story. I think that this story is good. Is a good story for a bedtime story and for children especially because it's classic and it's simple, I think. So yeah, thank you for tuning in and listening to my storytelling. I hope I could see you guys again in other opportunities. Bye.